Are you living in Kenya? Well, I've got some not so good news for you. Your life may just get more expensive. See, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics November data shows that this month, that's November, inflation has gone up to 6.68% compared to 6.47% in October. But before we get too far, let's just explain some of the terms here, yeah? For example, what is inflation? To put it very simply, inflation is when money loses value. And a simple example is, imagine if you had an egg and it costs 10 shillings and you have 100 shillings. You can afford to buy 10 eggs. However, if the price of that egg goes up to 20 shillings, you still have 100 shillings, but you'll only be able to get 5 eggs. The amount of money remains unchanged, but the value of the money depreciates. Got that? Okay. So what causes these changes in inflation? One reason is simple, the law of supply and demand. Forbes explains this as when the demand for goods and services in an economy rises more rapidly than an economy's productive capacity. Another reason for changes in inflation is when prices of production process inputs increase. Basically, when the cost of production is passed on to you. So this is why it becomes more expensive to buy things when, say, fuel prices increase, because the government has to pay more to get the same amount of fuel, the gas station charges more, the lorry guy charges more to transport the farmer's vegetables, and then the farmer passes on the extra cost to you as a consumer. Now, Fact Up is all about using data to make informed decisions about elections. And so you might probably be wondering, why should I care about inflation? More so, is there even a correlation between stability around elections and, say, the rate of inflation? Well, we had a look around, and data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics shows a trend. At the beginning of the 2007 financial year, inflation stood at 13.6%. Kenya's financial policy is to keep that number below 7%. Fast forward to December of that year, election time, and inflation had gone down to 12%. At the beginning of the next financial year, that was June of 2008, inflation had shot up to 29.3%. This, by the way, was not the worst of it. In May 2008, inflation was at its worst high, 31%. Next election was in 2013. Before election, inflation was 7.74%, but that was in July of 2012. By the time the election came by in March, that number had dropped to 4.11%, and by the end of that financial year, the inflation had risen to 4.91%. This financial year began with 5.8% inflation, and today we are at 6.68%. So what are we saying here? When it comes to 2017, you have to have a fact check list for what your leaders do for the economy. Does your choice of leader, for example, address inflation? Does their choice of policies give the country a better shot at inflation prices? The economy is so fragile that small things in it could disrupt it. So think carefully, look at the numbers, and choose wisely. I'm Edith Kimani, and this is Fact Up.